Good afternoon everybody, Iain from Ranking the Obscure here. I hope everybody is well and having a good day. What we got for you today? We have got the Quireboys. But before we go on to the Quireboys, I've had some more subscribers, so the rest of you that watch this, get subscribing and get onto Facebook, because we have a Facebook page as well. So get and have a look on there. It's basically some of the stuff on here, and I'll be do a bit more on there as well. So let's have a look at the Quireboys. They're an English rock band formed in London in 1984, but with strong ties to Newcastle up in the north, because Spike is a Geordie. And when they first formed, they were called the Quireboys, which was not a very good name for a band, so they changed it to the London Quireboys while they was doing stuff in the United States. But when they come back, they dropped the London and they're just known as the Quireboys now. They've had more members than Rainbow. Basically, they broke up a couple of times and they literally fired everybody each time. So there's too many people that are ins and outs, and I'd get confused telling you. So if you want to look who's on it, Wikipedia for once is not too bad, it tells you more. So they first album came out in 1990, they made a second album and then they split up. They formed again back in 1995 to do some live stuff with a completely new band. Only Spike and Guy Griffin left from the original band. That was very short-lived, so they split up again and they reformed again with a completely new band yet again, with Spike and Guy the only ones from the original lineup. They put a new lineup together, and that band thankfully has been the same since 2001. So I'm not going to be ranking Halfpenny Dancer. There is a reason why, and if you are a Quireboys fan, you'll know why. So we'll be ranking from my least favourite to my favourite of 11 albums. So let's get cracking. So coming in at number 11 is the 2017 album, their 10th, White Trash Blues. This is just a collection of classic blues songs. There's Boom Boom on there, I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man, Little Queenie, Take Out Some Insurance. Don't get me wrong, this is a good album, but I don't, you know me and cover albums, they sort of, anyone that's done a cover album, unless it's exceptional, gets thrown to the bottom of the pile. Not because it's awful, it's just not what I'm looking for. So let's start with the real albums. Coming in at number 10 is their 2001 album, their first album after the split. This is Rock and Roll. But what they did do as well, in 2014, they re-released it as This Is Rock and Roll 2. Completely re-recorded it. Don't know why, because the tracks don't sound any different. They had added some onto it, but we'll talk about them in a minute. So the first track on the album is the title track, This Is Rock and Roll. Great opening track. It's got that classic rock and roll sound, done in the way that the Quireboys do their stuff. Great opening track, really good. Then the next track we get is Show Me What You Got. Not a bad track, great opening, and then it just races away and fades away. Not the strongest track on the album. Then we get a track called Searching, and this is a slow rock and roll. It's very Rolling Stones in places. Then we get 6 Degrees. This is a quirky number, bit something different from the Quireboys, but it's okay. Then we get Come On. This is my favourite track. It's got great harmonica on it, great piano, and Spike's gravelly voice. he's got one of them unique voices in rock and roll. Very underrated in my opinion, but it's just a great number, one of my favourites from the catalogue, full stop. Then we get a track called 7 Days. This is one of their semi-acoustic numbers. It's a bit country as well, but it's got that similar sound. It reminds me of The Faces. It's a really good track. Then we get Taken for a Ride. This is a bluesy number with great keyboards and guitar riff in this and solo. It's that classic blues keyboard, absolutely brilliant. Then we get something called Cold Harbour Lane. Now, it's an okay track, but the drumming's a bit off to me. It sounds very hollow, and because it's quite a hollow sound, it seems like the drummer's trying to keep up with the rest of the band, and it just didn't work. Great solo though, I'll give this good points, but I think if the drums had been a bit different, it might have been a better track, but for some reason they just didn't get the drum mix right on that. Next track is Turn Away. God, this is the start of this is so much like Start Me Up from the Rolling Stones. You know, it's near enough note for note, and then it goes into some riffing stuff from AC/DC, so see where their influences are, but it's still a good track. Then we get To Be, another good bluesy number. I do like their bluesy numbers, they really are good. Then we get Enough for One Lifetime. Oh, this one again, it just sounded a little bit too much like the Rolling Stones. I'm half expecting to hear Mick Jagger sing. It's okay. Then It's All Right. All I'll say about this is it's only rock and roll rip-off, total rip-off, not good at all. And then we get Never Let Me Go, a bit of a filler on here. This is why it's at number 10. It starts strong and then it just really fizzles out. It's a shame really. On the remix you get re-recorded of Hey You, Misled and 7 O'Clock and There She Goes Again off the first album. I don't like these remix versions. Why ruin a good song? That's all I'll say about that. Right, coming in at number 9 is their 7th album from 2014, Blackeyed Suns. This is a double album, but you get album 1 is just a brand new album with, you know, new songs, and then we get on the other one, it's called Unplugged in Sweden, so it's all the hits up till 2014 unplugged. It's not a bad album, the acoustic album, but once you've heard one acoustic album, you've heard them all. So let's have a look at the actual album. First track on the album is Troublemaker. Great opening riff, just what you expect. I do like these catchy opening tracks, grabs your attention. It's great rock and roll, drums are brilliant, what more do you want? And then we get a track called What Do You Want From Me? This is quite an interesting track. It's rock and roll with a reggae beat, and it sounds like the Police in places, and it works well. Good track, good track. Then we get Julianne. This is one of their semi-acoustic numbers. Really good track. The only downside of it, it sounds too much like Rod Stewart. But on the whole, it is a good track. Then we get a track called Double Dealing. Great opening guitar and riff to this, and another great track. Then we get a Stubborn Kind of Heart. This isn't a bluesy acoustic number. Got a stonking bass line to this, which sort of holds the song together, and everything else works its way round this song. Absolutely great stuff. Then we get The Messenger. Unfortunately, it's okay, but it sounds too much like Dream On by Aerosmith. Still a good track though. Then we get a track called You Never Can Tell. This is a solid rocker, best rocker on the album. Then we get Mother's Ruin. It's a very nice track. Again, very Rod Stewart, but there's nothing wrong with that, I suppose. Then we get Monte Cassino. It's a nice acoustic number to end the album. So on the whole, it's still a good album. I mean, I don't think Quireboys released a bad album, and there's not many tracks of theirs I don't like. They're very consistent and of a good quality, and I love this band. Okay, number 8 is a 2019 offering, their latest studio album, the 11th, Amazing Disgrace. Really look, when this was coming out, looking forward to it because it's been a while since I released one. But this is a good solid album. The first track in the original Blackeyed Sun, great track, got horns on it. I love that sort of sound. Terrific song. Then we get Serenade, bluesy number. It's got some great slide guitar and that lovely bluesy keyboard. Really, really good song. One of my favourites from the catalogue as well. Then we get Seven Deadly Sins. This is a really solid track. Everything you expect from a Quireboys rocker. Spike's voice is amazing. Even it sounds no different than it did in 1990. Then we get a track called the title track, Amazing Disgrace. This is a catchy tune. All the way through, it's just got a good beat to it and thoroughly enjoyable. Then we get Eve of the Summertime. This is very country rock, bit like Bread and the Eagles sound, but it's okay because I like the Eagles and I like Bread, so I don't mind that track. Then we get California Blues, another of them great bluesy tracks. It's got some tinges of the Beatles from I'd say the White Album period. Not all the way through, but little bits come in and you go, oh, that's very Beatles. Then we get This Is It, another country style. It's too country for me. It's a bit yeehaw, and I'm expecting someone like Slim Whitman to come and sing on it. It's okay. Feels Like a Long Time's the next one. It's a solid track, nothing special, but it's okay. Now we get a track called Slave One. By the start of this, because I put the album on and I didn't look at the sleeve. I'm not one of these that sits there these days because A, you don't have a sleeve. I just downloaded it, threw it on the pod, and just put it on and was doing bits and bobs. And the start of this is so much like the 10538 Overture for Me How Low. And I thought, have they done a cover of this? Because it did sound pretty good. And then it just goes off into one of a Quireboys style rocker. It's great. Then we get Dancing in Paris, another country song, too country. Again, you're expecting someone like Willie Nelson to start singing on it. Then the next track, the final track on the album, Medusa, My Girl. This is a more country song, but it's got a Celtic overtone because there's a lot of violin on this, and I do like that Celtic rock, as you know, and I like that track. Although it's a country, it is actually a really good track. Okay, then coming in at number 7 is the 2013 album, The Six, Beautiful Curse. Again, it's got some solid tracks on it. You'll find out as we go through. The first track, Too Much of a Good Thing. Another track that sounds like the Stones could have recorded it. It's got a great riff in the track as well. Then we get Chain Smoking, best track on the album. This is bluesy rocker. It's got that real steady bluesy beat, terrific song. Talk of the Town, steady rocker, great guitar. Then we get Mother Mary. It's a ballad, this is, but it shows Spike's versatility. You know, he has got a very distinctive voice, so he does work well, you know, with all songs he sings. Great guitar solo in this. Then we get King of Fools, another Stones sounding track, but it's good. This next track, Homewreckers and Heartbreakers, which is actually a name of an album but never appeared on the album. It's a great rock track. This is Spike at his best. Terrific vocals on this. That real gravelly voice comes out a treat on this. Then we get a track called Diamonds and Dirty Stones. This is quite upbeat for a Quireboys. It's a little bit different, but a good song. It's nice to have a different song now and again. Then we have the title track, Beautiful Curse. Oh, I've got an itchy nose today. Another great rock and roll number. It's that with that Quireboys of doing the way they do it. Great track. Then we get Don't Fight, another slow track that's just got a great organ sound on this. Terrific. Then we get For Crying Out Loud. This is a classic rocker. Can't get any better than this. Although it does sound like Hot Legs by Rod Stewart. But not as much. It's in that vein, shall we say. It's not a rip-off of Hot Legs, but it's done in that sort of style. Then we get 27 Years. It's another solid rocker. Then I Died Laughing, ends the album. It's a bit of a filler. Not the best track. One of the only tracks I don't like by the band. Okay, coming in at number 6 is their 8th album. Came out in 2015. Celia and the Gypsy Soul. This is actually a 4-disc set. You get an album of new material, and then you get Halfpenny Dancer that they've sort of just remixed a little bit, and then you get a live concert from the Halfpenny Dancer. So you basically get two versions of Halfpenny Dancer, one studio and one acoustic show. They're okay. I don't mind them at all. In fact, I do. I mean, these are better than the one on the other album that we've looked at. So let's look at the actual album. First track, Gracie B. This is one of my favourite Quireboys tracks of all time. It's got that great beat. It's such an addictive hook. If you go and listen to it, you'll go, yeah, I can understand what you mean. It just sticks in your mind. Then we have a track called Land of My Father. This is done in the vein of Bruce Springsteen, that feel-good sound. It is a really, really good track. Then we get Saint Cecilia, another belter, just great rock and roll. Then we get The Promise. This is one of Spike's best vocals. It's a slow-moving song with keyboards, mandolin, strings. It's a great song, one of his finest performances. Then we get a track called Can't Hide It Anymore. Again, one of them semi-acoustic songs with some great keyboard in this that really lifts this song. Then we got Out of Your Mind. Okay song. Sounds like the Stones, but it is a great song. Can't deny that. Then we get the Hurting Kind, semi-acoustic song again, just great. Then a Dial-In, another of those staple Quireboy songs, just what you need. Then we get The Best Are Not Forgotten. again, this acoustic guitar with mandolin, it just sounds great together on this. And then the album ends up with a song called Why Did It Take So Long? This is the worst song on the album, only because it's got a damn drum machine on. What are you doing? You've got a reason, you've always had a good drummer, so why did you put a drum machine to this song? Stop it. End of that, so we will move on because it just, oh. Then you get all the live stuff and Halfpenny Dancer, really good. It's a really good album. I don't listen to it one off, but it's one of them that you can put the different albums on at different times. Okay then, moving on. Number 5 is the 2004 album Well Oiled from 2004. Really good album. First track is Good to See Ya. It's just one of them opening tracks with a hook that gets you from the start. You hear that first track, you've toned in and ready to go. Then we get the finer stuff. This again is one of their best tracks. It's got that keyboard sound from the 1970s. Then it goes into a great rocker, stunning solo, and that's all in 1 minute of the song before it even gets going. And it continues to be it's a great song from start to finish. But you get that first minute, you get everything. Then the next track is Lorraine Lorraine. It's a great bluesy rocker, one of the best bluesy rockers. Great harmonica in this. I do like the sound of harmonica, really good. Then we get Too Familiar, we get a country rock song, but it's pretty good. Then you get a track called You Got a Nerve. It's just like the first track, Good to See You. It's got that opening hook that just stays with you all through the song. Then we get a song called What's Your Name. This is a great song. It's Free's all over this track. It's the sort of thing that Free would have done. It's a great track. I love Free. So winners all round on that one. Then we get Sweet as the Rain. This is another solid track. Then we get The Last Fence. This is a fast rocker with great harmonica. Then the last track on the album, Black Mariah, starts with a great electric piano sound. That sort of thing that Ray Charles did. It's a stormer of a track to end the album. It's got great riffs that holds it together all the way through. It's like a constant riff all the way through. It doesn't get repetitive, but it just holds it together. Great track. Okay, we're moving on up to number 4 in the rankings. The 5th album from 2008, Homewreckers and Heartbreakers. This is solid. Even when it's got some of their country songs on it, it's still solid. Okay, first track, Love This Dirty Town. We go straight into another great rocker, great piano, a typical way to start a Quireboys album. Then we get a song called Mona Lisa Smiled. This song's actually inspired by the life and death of Salvador Dali and his wife. It's a terrific song, and although it reminds me of the Faces, it's still brilliant. Then we get a song called Louder. This is a ripper with a great guitar solo in it. Absolutely belt out, spikes all over that. Then we get Fear Within a Lie. This is a slower, moody song. Keyboards, and I had it on the headphones when I was listening to this. And I think you can hear a bit of Mellotron in it, so that's always good to hear a little bit of it. I'm not quite certain, but I'm sure I heard some. Then we get a track called Blackwater. This is really bluesy. It's got slide guitar, harmonica, absolutely corking track. Then we get a track, One for the Road. It's a country song, but I actually like this one because it's got a bit of a rocky beat to it. Then we've got Late Night Saturday Cool. Again, this is another song that Rod Stewart could have sang. Great song, great solo. All a Shame. Never liked this one. It's one of them tracks that the band are just going through the motions, and you just can tell with their performance. Then we got Take a Look at Yourself, very Eagles style in places, but a good track. And then we have, I think it's Hello One or Hello One or something like that. Great semi-acoustic song from the guys again, with a gripping electric guitar solo. And then the last, what I call the last track, Josephine. Great rock track. Best rock track. They've done one of the best they've done. Great ripper. And then we get a 1 minute 34 of reprise of Louder. I never get why you get these little reprises. We've heard it, you know, great song, but why do we need to hear it again? Okay, we're moving into the top three. These three albums are as solid as you get. They were, two of them have always been in my top three, and then one came in later. So coming in at number 3 is their second album from 1993, Bittersweet and Twisted. It's not a bad track on this album at all. It's solid, top to bottom. Some real classics from the catalogue as well, like the first track, Tramps and Thieves. It's a ripper. Great track live. Then there's a track called White Trash Blues, which of course is the name of an album they did with the Lamb Blues covers. It's a great track though. It's got horns, very similar to the Little Angels. That sort of oik. And I like that, as you know. So yes. Then we get the best track on the album, Can't Park Here. This is pure boogie rock and roll. Back to the roots of rock and roll. You just can't get any better. And then we get the classic King of New York. This is one of their finest ballads. Always been a favourite of mine. Absolutely brilliant. Then you get Don't Bite the Hand. Another great rock and roll track. Proper rock and roll. Then we get The Last Time. Another great ballad. It's got some violin in it. It's terrific. The violin really makes this track. Then we get a song called Debbie. Slow tempo rock and roll with some great horns in it again. Then we get Brother Louie. This is a great blues track. Driving guitars and harmonica. And then we got Ode to You, another blues song. There's quite a lot of blues on this, and this is terrific. Then we get Hate to Please, which is a country song, which is actually quite good. I don't mind that one. Then we get My St. Jude. Back to the rock and roll again, driving riffs. Take No Revenge is the next track, slow, bluesy number, perfect. If you like that bum bum bump sort of blues, it's great. Then we get Wild Wild Wild, another boogie track, absolutely brilliant. And the album ends up with I Ain't Love Blind, great rocker to end the album with some awesome harmonica work on this. Okay, up until 2016, this album was my favourite album of all time, and to be knocked off its perch, the other album must be great. So coming in at number 2 is their debut album from 1990, A Little Bit of What You Fancy. I can't believe this album is 31 years old, and I remember buying this, I think, a couple of days after it came out. Oh, do I feel old? Right, this is got classic track after classic track. Starts off with 7 o'clock. Actually, one of the first songs I heard by them and fell in love with it. It's a brilliant track, great opening one, and then we get the brilliant Man on the Loose. That opening riff that drives it, and it just goes on and on and on. Terrific. Then we get my favourite ever song by Quireboys, Whipping Boy. It's got a great melody. It tells a story. I think it's based around the American Civil War. Don't quote me on it, but it's absolutely brilliant. And then we get one of the great crowd songs at gigs, Sex Party. Great opening riff, and it's one of them that you all join in with. It's terrific. Then we get Sweet Mary Ann. First we heard the countryside of Quireboys, but this is a classic, absolute classic. And then another classic after that, I Don't Love You Anymore. Such a moving ballad, one of the best. Then we get Hey You. It's a great track, but it comes under that category. If I don't hear it again, I won't be unhappy. It is a great track though. Then we get Misled. Another classic song. They just keep coming. Then we get Long Time Coming. Great start. You get guitar and piano. It just comes in little bursts, and then we go bang. Reminds me of very early Aerosmith, but it's a corker. Then we get Rings and Roses, another great track. Reminds me of the band Smokey actually, but it's a terrific track. Then we get There She Goes Again. Okay, this one's played a lot, but I still love this track as much as I did 31 years ago. It doesn't matter how many times I hear that, I still love it. And then we end up with a track called Take Me Home. Real solid then, track to end what I consider a fantastic debut album. So, my number one that knocked my beloved A Little Bit What You Fancy off the top spot came in 2016. Their 9th album, Twisted Love. I consider this, next to the debut, their best album. It knocked that one off. It knocked A Little Bit of What You Fancy off the top, purely that they'd matured. And it's just, I'd say it's the peak of Quireboys. It's very hard to split these two albums up, but this one just got the nod because of the maturity, and some of the songs on here are just superb. Although the ones on the Little Bit are great classic songs, this just, it's got a little bit more to it, which I love. So let's have a look at Twisted Love. It opens up with a track called Torn and Frayed. This is what I call a heavy rockabilly song. It's storming. Spike, this is probably Spike's best vocal on an album, from top to bottom. He was just all over this album, absolutely brilliant. Then we get a track called Ghost Train. Great blues track with some awesome guitars. You can lose yourself for that one. But Eric Clapton bluesy number, terrific. Then we get Killing Time. This is got to be one of their heaviest rock songs they have ever done. And Spike, after all these years, still can sing. Then we get Twisted Love, the title track. Very radio friendly, but a great track, and I love it. Love it. Then we get Breaking Rocks. It's got that when the levee breaks and Zeppelin sort of feel to it. It's not a rip-off of it, but it's got that feel to it. Then we have my favourite track on the album, Gracie B Part 2. Part 1 was brilliant, but this is the Dogs Doo-Doos. It's a great 70s rock style song and I love it. I like playing the two Gracie B's together because they are terrific songs, and they are two of my favourite songs of all time from the Quireboys. Then we get Life Is a Bitch, another storming blues rocker. They just keep coming on this album. Then we get Stroll On. This is my second favourite track on the album. Okay, it sounds like the Stones, but I love the Stones, so I'm a happy chappy. That's what I'll say about that. It's great. Then we get Shotgun Way. It's another 50s style rock and roll track, done in that Quireboys way. Love it. Then we've got Midnight Collective. This is a really nice blues, very mellow, lots of keyboard. You just can't get any better than that. And to end the album, we've got Win Some, Lose Some. This is just solid rock and roll again, and that's why this is number one. It's just solid. There's not a track where you go, ooh. You know, the maturity that they've gone from 1990 to 2016, absolutely fantastic. They're a fantastic band. I don't dislike any of these albums. So that's the end of another interesting one. Before I go, just remember, subscribe, make your comments, and come and join the Facebook page, which is more of a community thing where I'm hoping to do some interesting stuff and get you guys involved more. So I will speak to you all very shortly, so have a great the rest of the day and see you soon.